October 9, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is how I saw the charts today. There was no real economic data that came out to move the market. There was Fed Chair Powell and a couple of other FOMC members that came out and said some things, I think. Other than that, there wasn't really anything that moved the market. It looked like it was a follow through from yesterday. Then it sold off and looked like it was two big legs, made two big attempts up, sold off on a bigger, more shallow, but well, not really shallow, but more choppy leg down. Then it went into sideways consolidation in the late last hour rally into kind of the close, which closed at the low or closed lower than the open. I took a total of 2 trades, was profitable on both. The first trade I took some heat, and I looked at it in hindsight, and it actually probably could have been skipped. It wasn't the best trade. And then there was a couple of other trades, and then a few almost setups. So in the pre-market, there was a sell-off, bounce. Looks like it was 2 legs down, very choppy. Rally. It looked like it was moving up this transparent red up channel. Opens, and it's kind of moving sideways. Pushes up, creates a first entry long, and that's all you get. Then it sells off. Other than the first entry, there's really no second entry, clean second entries. Comes all the way down, hits the pre-market low, which is also low of day. There's a new low here, creates a first entry short, pullback, creates this, I'm going to call it a hidden second entry short. But it really doesn't confirm until this candle. So it creates a first entry short pullback. So I thought it was a possible trade. I like that it moved up above the previous, then closed the low. And I was debating on whether taking this trade right near the close. But by the time I decided on anything, it didn't matter because it opened and then it flushed down really quickly. So it was really difficult to try to enter this trade unless you kind of dropped it right below this signal bar. I also like that it was a rejection off the EMA and it was a third touch off this yellow down channel. So it pushes down. All you really get is first entries all the way down. I mean, you technically could count second entry longs, but it would be I don't think it's a good idea to go long on a market that's trending down like this, because in real time, this is what you see after this big jump down. So I'm not ready to take a second entry long. Pushes down, there's a fail breakout here. Creates a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short right here, but it's a terrible signal bar. Pushes down, pushes up, breaks on the high side of this yellow down channel. I'm expecting a test of this yellow down channel. Pushes up, and it creates a second entry short. So it's a new low, first entry short, pull back, second entry short. This one's a little more aggressive. It is the top of this possible range, which I thought we might be trading in. Break of the green up channel has tested the high. Break of the yellow down channel needs to test the low. And it looked like it was one attempt here and a possible second attempt here. But I thought it was a little aggressive because it is inside to here. There is just enough room to scalp out, but it's really close to the EMA. And then right here, when it confirms, now I'm looking for a lower high below, ideally right into here. And then I get my lower high. So I have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. I have a lower high now. I get my order ready. It confirms the second entry short. EMA is kind of holding prices down. Break of this orange down channel actually needs to test the low. So I entered I got an order ready. It entered right at the low of this candle. As you can see, as soon as it opens, it pushes down. I get filled and it pushes back up. My stop is actually way up here, above this double bar. It comes up. I take some heat because I thought, okay, I probably lost this trade. You know, it pushes up. Last few hundred ticks, it pulls back down here. So I'm watching and waiting. Comes back, it's trying to decide, pushes down, and I quickly get my 1-point scalp on this candle. So it opens, get my 1-point scalp. I move my runner stop from here to 1 tick below break even, and unfortunately, it stops me out. If it didn't stop me out, this candle would have stopped me out. Pushes down. Moves down what I think is this gray down channel. Creates a lower high here. New low, first entry short, second entry short, a lower high confirmation. It does kind of confirm this gray down channel pushing down, but I really want an EMA touch and rejection. But I was reluctant to call it an almost trade. I'm reluctant to call it an actual trade, and it's more of an almost trade because you can see the blue line that I drew at the time. I'm thinking there's some kind of support here, some kind of bounce point because it had trouble breaking through. It did break through, but it's kind of losing momentum. And I was concerned of a possible bounce here or a possible bounce here. There might be buyers right here looking to catch the bottom, but it didn't. It kind of flushes through, pushes down, follows this gray down channel pretty well, starts reversing, break, test the low after the break of the gray down channel, pushes up, EMA is holding, first entry short, potential second entry short, but I'm not excited about this signal bar. It kind of doesn't even come into play now because it never broke the low, so I'm not thinking of going short. Here is your second entry short by the technical count. First entry short, second entry short. It's a little far from the EMA. When I see this candle, I'm not thinking of going short just yet. It confirms, so you do have a second entry short. I'm looking for a potential lower high, ideally below the EMA, but I'm also actually looking for failure on the second entry short, which doesn't show up. So it kind of creates, it stalls. So I'm more reluctant now because it's showing a little bit of indecision. It pushes up, so you do potentially have a failed second entry short, but it does create a new high, localized new high. So I'm reluctant to go long. Pushes up, moves up this green up channel. It hits here, so I think I drew a trend line resistance or just a resistance line here. I didn't quite believe it was a channel, a range just yet. Now the second touch, and then I believe, okay, I turn this resistance and I turn it into a range. I had it low here, but I was thinking maybe it actually cuts a little bit through in the middle, right where my cursor is, and this could have been a failed breakout. Creates this potential second entry long. So it's a new high, first entry long pullback, potential second entry long. The break of the screen up channel needs to test the high. But it is running close to what I think might be a possible resistance because it had trouble, one touch, two touch, three touches, three attempts. EMA is starting to act as support, so it's getting crushed between this potential trading range. Pushes up, so I'm very careful now. It's the first entry long, second entry long. If it creates a higher low, I'm still reluctant to maybe jump on it just yet because I don't know how valid this resistance is. Pushes down. There's a potential higher low here, but I didn't like the way the signal bar closed. Pushes up and pushes through. Creates this potential fail breakout of this major, like big range. So new low, first entry short, potential second entry short. I thought it might have been a possible trade. Green channel has made first attempt up, made a second attempt up, and made another attempt up. So technically, it's not really a lower high, but it looks like things might reverse and get pulled back into both this trading range and maybe this bigger one might be in play. Pushes down, so confirms the second entry short. If you're more aggressive, you might have taken it. I'm looking for a lower high now, ideally inside both of these ranges. Maybe a lower high, but I don't like that it's a doji. Confirms, pushes through. Now, you could have said maybe it was a first entry long, second entry long failure, but it was kind of pushing, you'd be selling at the low of this range. And this range here seems to be more important to price action right now than this bigger one, because this bigger one really only confirmed, well, it hasn't confirmed the low side, confirmed the high side, but this smaller blue one has confirmed both the high side and the low side potentially. So I was reluctant to jump in on this trade after this signal bar closed. Pushes down, starts pushing through. So now I'm thinking, okay, this big one could potentially be in play, this bigger trading range. Pushes down, potential small break, but it's a little ambiguous. Pushes, now there's a very clear break on the low side, pushes up, potential EMA rejection. This could be the first entry short, but I don't like the signal bar. It did close below the EMA, but it's just the first entry, if at best. So you have a first entry short, pushes. You technically have a second entry short here, but the follow through is just a messy setup. Pushes up, pushes back to the high side, push up on the screen up channel, break. I'm thinking it's going to come up and potentially touch this high side. And if it does and shows a little bit of weakness, then I probably get a short ready to try to ride it back down to the low side of this bigger range, which I think is starting to show that it's in play. Pushes up. Okay, so this is the rejection I'm looking for. So it's a new low. Technically a first entry short, but I saw it as a visual first entry short, second entry short. Technically the low is here, but it looks like it was a pull pullback, and then this leg is so much bigger than this one. I treated this as a kind of a new trend. So I treated this separately to this. So it looks like it's a push up, technically visually a first entry short, potentially a second entry short. You do get a second entry short, but it doesn't have good follow through. So now I'm waiting for a lower high, ideally pushing down back through here. You get your lower high. Unfortunately, this happened very quickly. It spikes up, pushes down. By the time this signal bar, unless you took it in engulfing, you're not going to take it at the close because, well, this EMA isn't super reliable yet. But I do keep it into consideration. Ideally, if this EMA was just lower, it's just one less thing you have to worry about acting as a support. So even though it's a first entry and now it's a lower high, I'm actually looking for a second entry long failure. Maybe there's going to be a failure if it creates a push up and down. Maybe there's going to be a first entry long, potential second entry long failure. You create your second entry long failure, but it didn't technically fail yet because you, by the technical look, you have a first entry long pullback, second entry long. You don't, it's not failed yet. You don't know if the next candle is going to actually be higher than this one and continue upwards. So you have a second entry long, but it's an ugly second entry long, but you don't technically have a failure yet. You do kind of have a failure here now, but the follow through just doesn't look good. Pushes up. This is just choppy. It just pushes up and flushes down. So I'm again sitting on my hands. I'm not really sure what to make of this. Pushes down. I had a tighter channel initially, and it treated it as a fail breakout. So I had something like this, potential fail breakout, first entry short. You might have a second entry short here. You have a second entry short, flushes down and comes right back up. So you might have gotten a trade off of this, but I just didn't really like this. It looked a little congested. The candles to the left of this red one is just, they're just kind of up and down, up and down. They didn't really show two clean legs. Pushes down and out. At this point, it's flushed down. It looks like this huge breakout on both two times. So that's when I actually dragged this into a bigger channel. So this actually looks pretty good. And this respected the midline of this purple down channel. Pushes up, you have a first entry short. Break of this orange has tested the high. It's moving down on this orange one now. Let me just collapse this, makes it a little bit easier to see. Break on the low side, expecting a potential a test of this orange down channel. So it's first attempt down. You could say there's a second entry short here, but the signal bar is terrible. It didn't touch the EMA. You just came from a failed breakout, so I'm reluctant to go short just yet. It looks like it needs another attempt, maybe to the other side. But this failed breakout could be corresponding to this one. So I'm not really sure. For me to feel comfortable taking a short, then I need a lower high. You don't get a lower high. I mean, technically you could say this low or this high is lower than this one, but you're pressing against this low of day and this potential support area. So seeing this, I'm not really thinking lower high. Confirm lower high, but it already broke to the low, so I don't think there's a trade here. Starts moving sideways. I think we're in this green trading range. This actually sets up for my second trade. I have a new low. First entry short pullback. There's a potential second entry short. Second entry short hasn't confirmed yet, but I do like it moved one tick above this guy, pushed down and closed near the low. Plus the previous bullish bar was weak. It was closing at the low, even though it closed higher than its open, but this guy engulfed it completely. So I thought this might be enough. There might be a trade here to push this down. And I actually had this a little tighter up here. So I thought it's a fail breakout, corresponding fail breakout. It's just chopping along. There's probably a trade here, enough for a 1 point scalp. I took the entry at the low of this guy, flushes down, gives me a 1 point scalp. I move my stop from up here to one tick below, and unfortunately it gets stopped out. If it didn't get stopped out, this candle would have stopped it out. Pushes down, kind of creates this double bottom. At this point, I'm thinking maybe this could be the low of the trading range. Something closer to here. Chop sideways, kind of bounces back up. EMA is starting to become bearish, so it might be coming into play as something to consider as a key entry point, or at least it acts as a little bit of better guidance. First entry short, technically you have a second entry short here. It's small, first entry short, second entry short. It might be close enough of a bounce. I should have marked this actually. Second entry short on this one, push up, break of the orange has tested the high. Now it's coming back down. So, oh, actually, I think I know why. I think I saw this, but I didn't mark it, and I think I just brushed it off. I think this is at best an almost trade. The reason being is you're hitting this support, the support of, or the low side of this green range. So yes, it broke below, but it could actually make one leg pull back and it create a second leg up to attempt to test the high. So I think that's why I saw it. I wasn't really sure. I don't think I really processed it until now. Pushes up, breaks out of this green up channel. When I saw this and this, I drew a phantom range where this could be the potentially the low and this could potentially be the high. So anytime prices get to this line or this line, I'm going to be paying attention just to see if there's a good setup because they could both, it hasn't been determined which one's truly valid, but the green one seems to have more validity because seems like price action is respecting a little bit more, but because it's starting to break out into this larger purple range. I just marked this because I saw it in real time, but I didn't really like it because it was a first entry long pullback, second entry long here. I just didn't like it because it was at the high of this potential range. Unless you're playing this purple or this blue one, you wouldn't really have any room. If you're playing the blue one, then you have enough room for at least a 1 point scalp. Thought I wasn't sure. When it confirms here, then I thought, okay, we actually might be breaking out into this bigger blue range because it has 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. Low side only has technically only 2 touches, but a third one right here. So actually 3 touches in the low, 3 touches in the high. Kind of moves sideways, localized high, first entry long, pushes all the way down. I'm watching this pretty carefully now. Unfortunately, this formed as a doji, and then the follow through wasn't very convincing. It's inside to this guy, and it's at the lows. It creates a second entry long triple test now. Well, technically a multiple test because you have 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch. So I thought this is actually a possible trade because you also have a technical count first entry long pullback, second entry long. So I think if I was going to try to jump on this trade, I would be okay waiting for this to close to decide to take the trade. But if I did try to take the trade, I'd probably set it back here in the big meaty part of the body and not 1 tick above. Turns out either way, if you put it at the highs, you would have gotten filled and you would have gotten the scalp. If you put it in the meat of this, if you put it at 1 tick above here, your chances of getting filled is a lot less because you're asking prices to come retrace half of this candle, pick you up, and then reverse. So I personally don't know that I would necessarily place my stop or place my entry 1 tick above here. I might have kept it right at the highs or maybe try to back it up. But after the no fill here, I probably would have canceled the order and not wait for this one. So in any case, if I tried to take this trade, I don't think I would have gotten fill because I don't feel like I would have been aggressive enough. Then it creates a failed second entry short. So it's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. This I thought was also a possible trade because it's a engulfing of this guy, moved 1 tick below and pushed up, engulfed this guy completely. So it looks like it's one leg pullback, about to start a second leg. So in this case, it worked, pushes up to the high, almost hits the top, pulls back, creates kind of like this, not really a lower high, but it's a confirmation. If you have visual first entry short, second entry short, pullback, you could say it's the top of the range, but it's really not the typical second entry setup or a confirmation. It does have range rules of at the highs, but I wasn't really sure about it. So I marked it because I saw it, had suspicions about it, but I didn't act on it. Prices move down. Technically, I have a second entry long here, but it's not very clean. Move sideways. It's just kind of noisy here now. Plus, price action has really slowed down at this point in day, which is kind of typical, which is what's been happening the last few days. Price action kind of slows down in the latter half. Kind of chops sideways, pushes up, has a fail breakout here, at least what I think is a fail breakout, and a potential move back down. So this could be the initiation, the start of it moving back in. It does. Hits the EMA, it starts bouncing upwards. At this point, I drew this orange up channel because I had 1 touch, 2 touch, and I think I had this, no, I actually had it about right there. It's about where it is now. Pushes up, kind of hits sideways consolidation, touches. So I trust this orange up channel pretty good now because it has 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. The high side hasn't been confirmed, but if you're trying to trade this, you're mostly looking to go long. So what really matters is the low side support. If it confirms more than the high side, that's better because it'll help act as a key entry point. Prices move up, you don't really get any clean second entries, and it just kind of pushes into the close. So today definitely was better than yesterday. It offered more setups, or at least more setups I could identify. I took 2 trades, which makes up for yesterday's no trade because I at least got one for today, and I guess I could count one for yesterday. But overall, the price action was very slow from here onwards. Well, actually, from probably 10 o'clock over to the close, 10 o'clock Pacific Standard. A lot more, a lot more happening, a little bit easier to read, I think, in the beginning half. Second half is just kind of choppy and noisy. So hopefully that was helpful.